put China in the same boxing ring with Eswatini. Eswatini has 1.2 million people. China has 1.4 billion people.
Why is the United States wandering all over the planet, interfering in the politics of virtually every country in the world? Why does the United States have military forces here, there, and everywhere? The reason is...
What's up, beautiful and amazing souls? It's Irene_Jep. My good people, welcome back to this amazing channel. So in today's video, we're going to talk about a couple of things. Number one, there is an old man. I don't know if that's the correct thing to say, but he came out and told us the main reason as to why American forces are all over the world. So we'll listen to the video. Kindly, you'll comment down below what you think about what he said. Another thing that we're going to talk about is the high taxes in Africa and why the high taxes, because all this, okay, whatever we're doing in Africa, it's because of probably loans that we have in America, loans that we have with the IMF, loans that we have with China and everyone else. So why the high taxes, and are we gonna pay it one day, one time, and become debt free? So we shall also talk about a certain bold lady who came out and was like, hey, why don't you leave all the raw materials for Africans? Why is it that you have to be there? Why is it that we don't have a say in anything that we own? Why is it that, if you find somebody, having a company in Africa, probably it's for the, white person or something like that. So those are some of the things that we're going to talk about. But I think it will be better if we, if we listen to these videos first, and then after that, I come back and, do my analysis. Without further much ado, let us jump into these videos. We'll listen to them keenly. We come and talk about them later on. See you.
Nice idea, but it won't help. It'll just formalize the reality that poor countries can never repay their loans.
Senator, are you saying that you're opposed to debt relief for impoverished countries?
No, we should forgive the debts, but that's not going to help those countries very much.
Okay. What will?
Tax cuts. Some African tax rates are the highest in the world. In Tanzania, the 30% rate kicks in at $475 of income. Plus, they have a 20% value-added tax. It gets added to everything you buy. Those high tax rates make it impossible to build capital in those countries. So nothing gets built, not factories, not roads, not anything. Poor African countries have the lowest wage workers in the world. And yet a company like Nike, for instance, can't put a factory in one of those countries because of the oppressive tax rates. Taxes have killed any possibility of economic development. They've killed any hope of these countries ever helping themselves. And that leaves them completely at the mercy of charity and loans. And here's the worst part. You know why those countries have such high tax rates? Because of us. To show us that they can raise enough money to pay back their loans. But taxes can't raise any money if they kill the economies. So it turns out that the tragic, unintended consequence of our good intentions toward Africa, our kindness, is that we have encouraged those countries to lock themselves into a gruesome economic depression. If we don't urge those countries to cut their tax rates, they will never grow their economies. People will live lifetimes of unemployment. Disease will be rampant. Poverty will be permanent. And children will be hungry. And our charity will never be enough. Never.
I've mentioned Kenya is not highly taxed because I think, I don't know, Tunisia, Morocco, they are taxed more, their tax to GDP is higher. How do you compare Kenya with some of those countries? The average salary in Tunisia is 176,000 a month. Average salary in South Africa is 187,000 a month. Average salary in Morocco is 263,000 shillings a month. The average salary of a Kenyan is 22,000 shillings. How do you compare light and day? Mr. Speaker, let us talk the truth. Mr. Speaker, you know, When I listened to this team when they were speaking during the Kenya Kwanza team during the campaigns, they talked about raising the hustlers. In this finance bill, there is a proposal to tax welfare groups. Welfare groups are those chamas of our women when they put money together, Mr. Speaker, so that they can do table banking. 1,000 shillings each, they put it together, then it is taken by one. Now this team wants to tax that money, take money that these women have worked hard for, the hustler women of this country, the mamamboga, the boda boda. Can you people be fair to Kenyan members? Let us stand up and oppose this bill, all of us. The voters are watching. The voters are watching. And I can tell you, those people that you are respecting so much, when you lose the next election, they will not pick your cause. And by that time, even these positions of cabinet, I don't know, CASs, we will have fought them, we will have removed them. They will no longer be there.
The reason some of these things become very emotive to some of us is because these killings did not just happen inside Parliament. The very first person that was killed out there, 29-year-old Erickson Mutisia, is from Kadhiani constituency, a place called Kisekini. So he was killed in the tarmac outside Parliament, and that was before they breached the fence. In fact, I want to imagine that that's probably one of the reasons why the youth were even more enraged, because they were unarmed. And when one of their own is killed, in cold blood outside, that obviously must have annoyed them. But some I want to I just mentioned how Parliament is captured, and I felt that maybe I need to elaborate. That what happened is the military were deployed to the streets. Military ordinarily cannot be deployed to the streets within the country without the consent of Parliament. Now, and I want you to go back to the records of Hansard, because this happened on June 25th, that when the military was in the streets. You check the Hansard records for the next day, because we were in Parliament the next day, in the morning. We attempted, that time as a minority party, to ask questions about how it was possible for the military to have been deployed to the streets of Nairobi without Parliament's approval. It was impossible for us to speak. It was, a motion was brought to the floor that was completely illegal and hastily passed by a few members of the majority that were in the House. So this is a problem we face as a country, that the rule of law is constantly ignored, even in Parliament itself. So that's why we have a problem. Now,
what Africa gives to the world, Europe don't have it, America don't have it, Asia don't have it. As a First Lady, I am not part of a government system. So when I speak on behalf of the people, because I understand what the people are going through. At the end of the day, I'm not being paid salary, and I cannot be fired either. We cannot wait for other people to come and develop us. Every mining company that is in Sierra Leone today is owned by a foreigner. You cannot be coming to our country and take everything that will make us develop, and then you still treat us as inferior people, as if we don't know what we're doing. The sense about us celebrating independence, I don't know why we celebrate independence, because we are not free.
Fundamental corruptions of the social contract in human history is colonialism.
Yeah.
And it's that mechanism that some states have used to extract resources from other places, such as Sierra Leone. That deprives countries of the resources they need for government services, for education, for health. So I was hoping you could reflect a little bit on what those forces have done to Sierra Leone and what kind of accountability we might be able to think about, just to imagine a way forward from where we've begun now.
When you look at what Sierra Leone have to offer, when you come to our mineral resources, the kind of mineral resources we have in our country is enough to take care of everybody in that country. We should not have a single poor person in Sierra Leone. But unfortunately, we are not given the free will to make decisions on our own mineral resources. There's always Big Brother who decides. And when you fight and say, no, we are not going to do this, they use the system to stop you. It's either they set you up with the opposition, and they will be supporting the opposition against you from the back, or they cause unnecessary chaos in your country so that you are not able to even govern your own people. They will do things to make you not to be functionable. And of course, any country that don't have peace cannot develop. You have to have peace before you talk about development. I'll give you a simple example about Sierra Leone. Every mining company that is in Sierra Leone today is owned by a foreigner. Every mining company. If it's not the Chinese, it's the American, it's the British. Our electricity, Bumuna, is run by the British, and we still don't have light. We're looking for light, electricity. If you don't have electricity, how can you talk about education? How can you talk about health facility? How can you talk about improving the infrastructure of your country? We don't have electricity. Now, do we actually even have proper water, pipe-borne water, so that our kids will not be sick? We don't have those facilities. Why? With all the minerals we have, there is a cap you put. Before my husband became the president of Sierra Leone was benefiting, they said, what's the word? 0.000.1%. What is that? Basically, a company can take as much as $100 million out of the country in terms of minerals, and then they can just give the country $10,000. Now, what will $10,000 do for our health system? What is $10,000 do for our educational system? And these are the things I believe that are stopping Africa from progressing. We don't have a say. A sense about us celebrating independence. I don't know why we celebrate independence, because we are not free. That is my own take. I'm not speaking also on behalf of the government of Sierra Leone, nor am I speaking on behalf of His Excellency the President. I am speaking as Fatima, as a citizen of a country who believes that things need to change.
Where do we go from here? Do you have any practical ideas about where we might start? Or collective ideas that we might gain support for?
I feel Africa, patriotism is very important. You have to love your country to want your country to be a better place. Patriotism, I think we have to have that sense of patriotism in our countries, and our leaders also should be subjected to that. You know, it is not only when you were talking about election and then everybody come out and celebrate, and after election, that's it. Accountability. Who accounts for what is happening? Who is the one who is changing the narrative of what is happening? Like I said, as a First Lady, I am not part of a government system. I am a wife of a president. So when I speak on behalf of the people, because I understand what the people are going through. At the end of the day, I'm not being paid salary. So, and I cannot be fired either. So that's the advantage. That's the advantage of being a First Lady. But I believe that for Africa, what is happening in Africa today, it need to change, and it need to change now. There is no time like now, because for Sierra Leone, we now have a president who believes that we cannot wait for other people to come and develop us. We cannot wait for another country to come and prescribe how our country should be run or what we need in our country. You know, this divide and rule, if you're close to China, we will not come to your country. If you're close to America, we will not come to your country. I mean, the fight that is between England, Europe, America, China, Russia is not a Sierra Leone fight. That's not our problem. We're fighting for our daily bread. We're looking to have education, just like America. We're looking to have good health facility. Just like Europe, we're looking to have governance structure where one single person cannot be the dictator of a nation. That's what we're looking for. And in that process, we're going to be allies to everybody who wants us to grow. But if we now align ourselves with someone, and then this other person now feel offended that, oh, you know, I'm coming from China now. I flew in, I've gone around the world to get to Boston, you know. I went to China and then come here. Before here, I went to England and then flew into America. For me, I am not restricted where I should go or who I should be talking to. I am going around the world to see a country that sees Africa not as not just as an ally of what you'll be getting from us, but a country that sees Sierra Leone as partners and treat us with respect. You cannot be coming to our country and take everything that will make us develop, and then you still treat us as inferior people, as if we don't know what we're doing. I think that is wrong. You know, we're looking for partners that value us. People that will come to our country and say, you know what, this country has suffered enough, they need to grow. We were once the atom of Africa. Every country within sub-Saharan Africa used to come to Sierra Leone for our education. And today, what can we be proud of? We cannot talk about education in Sierra Leone because they've ruined that for us. Everything that has empowered Sierra Leone has been ruined. And now we have a leader who wants to fix everything. There is a problem. In Africa, you should not have a leader that is assertive, a leader that knows what his people want, a leader that wants to change what is happening. The moment you have that, it's everyone's target. And then they find reason to slow you down, they find reason to stop you, and they use that system of corruption. They use corrupt people, they use negative people, they use unpatriotic citizens to come after a government who is doing what is right for a system. I think we need to address those issues. Unfortunately, I don't know I'm very good at name calling, but at the moment, I don't know who I should be screaming at.
I think the way you started on working on reform for women and girls is a template that can be followed for many other issues. Do you think of what a next one might be?
Well, one of the most serious issues I have with the United Nations is the fact that Africa is not part of the Security Council. We're talking about 54 countries, a whole continent does not have one person representing Africa when it comes to decision making at the Security Council.
And I'd observe also that no African country has its own executive director at the World Bank either.
No, unfortunately,
yes.
We don't know how to manage money.
Unless there is a plan to go and live on Mars, we do not have a choice. And I hope that this convocation and conversation can take place within the next 4 to 8 weeks. We cannot go to the world's population again making promises and yet saying that this is the most urgent problem facing mankind.
Straight that Africa should never be seen as a continent that needs generosity. We want to be treated as equals.
We cannot achieve what we want to achieve if we allow our global community to focus time, resources, everything, technology, on conflict. I think there's a duty for us all to keep our individual countries peaceful, out of conflict, and not export instability to other countries, neighboring or far away.
How do you put China in the same boxing ring with Eswatini? Eswatini has 1.2 million people. China has 1.4 billion people. And you put them on the same stage and say, go at it, negotiate. This is insanity of the highest order. How have we allowed this carnage to go on? When Eswatini is thrown in the same boxing ring with China and Eswatini is collapsing before Eswatini even gets on the stage, the world says, well, Eswatini, what's wrong with you? Why can't you take care of your people? But China came in and said, Eswatini, give me all your gold or else. And if Eswatini does not agree, they just go on next door to Lesotho and give Lesotho an extra $1. And if Lesotho doesn't take it, they just jump on to Togo, Central African Republic.
Why is the United States wandering all over the planet, interfering in the politics of virtually every country in the world? Why does the United States have military forces here, there, and everywhere? The reason is that the United States faces no security threats in the Western Hemisphere. We are a regional hegemon. As I said to you before, there's no country in the hemisphere that would think about attacking the United States. So we don't have to worry anymore about our security in the Western Hemisphere. And we are therefore free to roam. The United States has Canada to its north, Mexico to its south. It's a remarkably powerful country in the Western Hemisphere. No country in the Western Hemisphere would dare to pick a fight with the United States. Why? Because it's so powerful. If you are a regional hegemon, you are free to roam around the globe with your military power.
So there is this guy that has come out to tell us that Africa will forever remain poor. Oh my God. Why is he even thinking about that? And now that we are seeing the likes of the president of Namibia, the president of Burkina Faso, we are seeing the likes of Julius Malema coming out boldly, without fear, to tell us that, you know what, in order for us to prosper, we need this and this and that. They're actually telling us solutions. And then this other person is like, you know why Africa will never be developed? You know why Africa will forever remain poor? It's because of the taxes. Okay, he's telling us the truth. But again, who knows in the next 50 years what will happen? Because Africans, 50 years ago, it's not the same Africans like at the moment. So each and every time we experience revolution, each and every time we have a different generation, how they deal with things. Remember, 50 years ago, we didn't have social media. Things to do with social media just came recently, like 20 years is not yet over. Or we are not yet into 20 years of social media and everything. So I think it was so rude, and it was so discouraging to hear that we are going to remain poor forever and forever. And guys, I know everything is all about encouragement, everything is all about providing solution for ourselves. So I don't know, this guy that came out and was like, you know what, it's not easy for Africa to pay their own debt because of the high taxes. Okay, it could be true that the taxes are high, but it doesn't mean that it's impossible for us to pay. Look at Burkina Faso. What are they doing at the moment? Look at Mali. I read yesterday about Mali, and it was like they have actually paid their debt like in full, even Burkina Faso almost. So kind of confirm the statement that I just said, because it's not like I'm 100% sure, Anyway, my good people, this guy, I don't even want to talk about him because he seems to be a really, really famous person, And again, he talked about companies like Adidas not being able to open their own branch or a company. You see what Coca-Cola has done, it's all over the world. So it's like, companies like Adidas, they will never open their branches or companies in Africa because of the high taxes. And I was like, oh my God. So when they give you a loan, they give you with an intention of not being able to pay back, like with really, really high interest rates. But again, I repeat, the Africa that you see now is not the Africa that, it's not going to be the same Africa in the next 50 years, in the next 100 years. Probably by then we will be independent in terms of everything. So anyway, let's now talk about this particular person that came out and was talking about the finance bill. So finance bill in Kenya is something that was so popular in the year 2024, and so many Gen Zs, the youths of Kenya, they were like against it because the introduction was like, they had introduced some items. They had introduced some items that, it wasn't really favoring a common person, or I would say a local person. Like, there was introduction of so many things, and remember, employment rate in Kenya is like really, really down. So anyway, during that period, there were a lot of protests. People had come out to, protest against that bill, and we experienced so many deaths in Kenya, more so in Nairobi and some other parts of Kenya, just because of this finance bill. So BBC came out one day ago with a documentary, showing the faces of the police officers that killed specific people. And of course, it didn't come out well because it was like, bringing back the fresh wounds. Bringing back the story afresh. So you can imagine an investigation being done, you are being shown this is the person that shot this and that, and then you have your own member of parliament appearing on a national TV to tell people, BBC showed that, documentary of this particular young man that, got killed or got shot. But the thing is, he got shot outside the parliament. And I'm like, really? Is that the only thing that you can come outside here and tell us? Is that the only thing that you can go to a national TV and talk about? Because, such kind of a situation should be condemned. and also justice to the family, of course, because these guys that lost their lives, they still are a bright and, you know, they had a future. They had not even yet started life. They were fighting for their own rights. Anyway, I don't know how politicians operate, psychophancy or what, something like that. Anyway, defending the military was one of the, you know, most awkward thing to even come out and talk about all these things. Yet, you know, the military themselves, they didn't come out and put out a report as they had been requested by this the BBC crew. So at this point, we talk about this boldest, I would say the boldest African lady so far. Okay, we have so many of them, but this one, oh my God. I mean, what she was talking about in that particular interview, frankly telling the West, why is it that you cannot survive without Africa? But you are the #1 oppressors of Africans. All the companies, if you look around them in Africa, it belongs to you. Why is it that we don't have a say in our own resources? Why don't you leave us to develop ourselves on our own? Those were some of the things that she was actually asking. And then later on, I actually heard her talking about, you know, her being the first lady. So of course, being the first lady of Sierra Leone, it means those are some of the things that they always discuss, in short, you know, when they're probably having a meeting with the president, because the first lady means you're the wife of the president. So those are some of the things that, you know, the president talks about. And yeah, Sierra Leone, I can see it as one, I mean, the next country to follow Namibia and Burkina Faso. Oh my God. I mean, these particular leaders, they are so inspiring, you know. Anyway, that being said, can we now talk about why is it that America is all over the world? Anyway, the answer did not really satisfy me. I mean, I wasn't satisfied with that answer, because, like, why would you say that? It's because America doesn't face any threat, you know, in the West, given that, you know, the neighbors are people like Canada, Mexico, and anyway, it didn't make sense at all to me. Okay, we go back to this particular lady, the first lady of Sierra Leone. She was like, oh my God, why is it that when it comes to the United Nations Security Council, we don't have an African, we don't have a black person there. We don't have, okay, even if they're black, probably they are not from Africa. Because you'll find that most of these people, they plan about, you know, the security of Africa, I mean the entire Africa. But we don't have a representative there. Same to the World Bank, IMF. No one is there to speak for us, which is extremely unfair. Anyway, Ramaphosa came out and was like, Africa should not be viewed as, you know, this continent that only needs help or just wants charity. We should be viewed as Africans who are capable of, you know, growing ourselves, doing our own things. And also, you know, these big institutions should stop using the unpatriotic citizens to destabilize the governments. Because it's these particular people that, you know, they come out here and do destabilize government, and then people are there suffering left, right, center. Anyway, that's it for today. On my side, I'll see you in the next video. I actually hope you loved this video. Kindly subscribe to the channel, turn on the notification bell. I love you to the moon and back.